Welcome to the Executive Hub, the show that helps you grow your business with simple tips and strategies from successful entrepreneurs. My guest today is Dave Benton. Welcome, Dave.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm having a great day.
Fantastic. We're talking about how to not start a business. Let me do the proper bio for Dave, and we're going to dive into a very interesting conversation about how to start and not start a business, talk about marketing, talk about AI, and we'll see what will transpire during the conversation. Dave Benton is the founder of Metajive, a digital agency he started in college over 20 years ago. He has worked with top brands like Google, Nike, and Lyft to create online experiences people love. Dave is a natural problem solver who is passionate about design, tech, and using smart tools like AI to make things better. When he's not working, he's snowboarding, spending time with his family, or chasing new ideas. Dave, how's your day so far?
My day's terrific. It's just been
Beautiful.
a whirlwind of business as usual.
Fantastic. Where about are you?
I'm in San Diego, so in Encinitas, it's we're about a mile from the beach, and it's pretty much
Nice.
paradise here.
Is it warm or what's it like out there, weather?
It's like 75, a little breezy, but sun's out like always.
Beauty. Beauty.
Yeah.
Sunny San Diego. So let's dive into it. Dave, what's your story?
So my story, it's pretty average student at best. Growing up into trouble, frequent flyer card at the emergency room. Always just been active and adventurous. Went to college, took a class on Flash design as a minor, and was like, "Wow, that's really cool." Started doing that. Actually, got a B in Flash because I went to the conference instead of taking the final, which was arguably the right decision. And then started making websites, worked on one project, another project. I was actually intended to get a job, um, but I never really got hired, and I always got offered another contract. Eventually, I needed some help. I met a great partner of mine about, well, 15, 18 years ago now. We worked together. We grew our businesses in tandem. And then Metajive just continued to grow, and it's had a few peaks and valleys, like all businesses.
Beautiful. Now, what inspired you to start your company? Was there like a specific moment or idea that?
No, I'd say I was never inspired to start a business. In fact, I think I said the only thing I knew I didn't want to do was run a business. My dad was an operations manager, and I always intended to get a job um, through the entire time. It probably wasn't until maybe like 2012, maybe 2008 during the financial crisis when I had to really cognitively say, yeah, I am starting a business and I'm intending to start a business and continue running this, as opposed to everything was very organic before that point.
Nice. So, what do you do these days, and who do you serve?
So we do all sorts of digital projects, and they range from websites, marketing communication, e-commerce, build custom digital products for people, and then CRM. We do it for a variety of businesses. Um, that's just a huge range. So largely enterprise businesses. We work with SoftBank, for example. They're just an amazing client. We have an embedded team at one of the world's largest banks. Um, we helped Lyft for a long time. We create most of the Chrome experiments with Google Creative Labs. They're like the world's best partner. Super exciting, and it keeps us really close to the forefront of AI.
Interesting. And then, what are the problems that these guys typically have when they come to you, and how do you solve them?
So I think every business inherently has its own problems, and those problems are nuanced. And I think with the time and effort we spend, where we generally measure our projects in thousands of hours, not hundreds, it will either be as simple as we need a really good dev partner who's going to work through this with us because we don't know what it is, to help us change our positioning, change our message. So when someone thinks of company X, instead of thinking of executional partner, they think of a strategic partner. Instead of thinking about this, we're working on that. Instead of thinking of us as a single sport specific company, we want them to think of us as all sports and combined with technology. So a lot of it is perception, a lot of it is depth and clarity, a lot of it is based around visual design. But then you pair that with the technology piece, and that really opens us up to unlock solutions. Um, we built there's a trend forecasting service called LSN. It's an incredible resource. They work with the biggest companies in the world. And what they do, they came to us and they said, hey, we have all of this data. They have thousands of articles, hundreds of these 70 to 100 page reports. They're on podcasts, things like that. And we use their technical infrastructure to just push everything into a giant database that we could feed into AI. And then we made a custom agent for them, which is a fancy chatbot. So it's really an incredibly wide breadth of services. And I think people come to us because we're pushing for the best in any single execution, no matter which one it is.
Interesting. So that the chatbot you made them, is it like using that all the articles as like a knowledge base and answering questions based on that?
Yeah. So there's millions and millions of tokens, which is what you measure in for AI. But yeah, it's putting all of the information that they have cumulatively, even some background reports, into the knowledge base, which then accompanies any prompt or question. Then we added on a lot of specific things like tracking your request versus my request, so it could actually learn and have our history with it included in there, and know that right, I might have a preference for green things and you have a preference for yellow things, so it can help cater those answers as part of the context.
Interesting. How else are you guys using and employing AI in what you do?
Well, I think you can't get past Gen AI. So I think writing, every single person here uses it. I've been spending a lot of time with my creative director. He has a custom AI bot that he's been training based on all of our past writing, as well as giving it excessive amounts of feedback. We've been having a ton of success with that. Image generation we use for just about everything, but we've really been pushing on that. And I think there's multiple levels, far beyond just what you get out of ChatGPT or Gemini. The Midjourney is in there, and then there's a few more tiers as you get really custom and start building your own interfaces and subtle tweaks, and are able to train your own models.
Interesting. So you guys build custom AI tools for customers as well, like the chatbot and
Yeah. So we'll build custom tools. A lot of the other things we're building around that, I'm hoping are actually just going to come out of the box in the next year, is more of the agentic things. But the idea of being able to do something. So we helped a customer a year ago build an onboarding tool. So right, once they change their status in their HR software, it's going to automatically create their Google account. It's automatically going to create the account for all their software. It's going to give them the right level of access. When people get added to projects, automatically the team gets added to the Slack channel, things like that. And there's a bunch of things we wanted to do because, again, when we look at something, the ask is simple, like, hey, help us build a automate our onboarding from this very rigid task list. And computers are great for that. AI is not really needed. But we were also going, well, what can we do that will actually help everyone involved in this and make a better onboarding experience? So Things where we can insert AI into workflows like that is like, let's generate team bios on everyone on the team and send that to someone. So before your first day, you get a team bio that says, hey, Mustafa's here and he loves hosting his podcast. You should ask him about that. Dave's here. He loves snowboarding. You should talk to him about that. And really build up ways to create connections with people, as well as look for other obvious improvements that take logic, not just simple repeatable steps.
Interesting. How do you see AI impacting the digital marketing world in the next 5 years or so?
I mean, 5 years is a long,
Long
long, long
time.
horizon. Someone sent me an article yesterday that had kind of peak AI takeover in 2027, which isn't even 5 years from now.
And do
So
everything?
uh, seems like more than everything. It's, any great technology, lots of risks, lots of rewards. I think we're already having it as co-pilots for all of our developers, and I think the idea that you could have a fully autonomous coding agent seems super reasonable. Um, I think this is a big step and a big difference in vibe coding, like we're seeing today. I think the whole vibe coding movement is a precursor to a different renaissance of what we can do in creation. I think there's a lot of people right now talking about generative UI. I'm still very skeptical. I believe we will be able to get there, but I think at least what the top designers are doing is far beyond aesthetics and far more about positioning and far more about um, learning how to add value and communicate. That I think connecting a lot of disparate endpoints will be hard.
Yeah.
Not impossible, but I think there's an intuition and a human connection.
Yeah. I mean, and the good thing about AI is like it is improving like every day. Like almost every month or two, one of these big players coming up with like a new version, and it is just mind blowing what it's doing. Like we we did about what I would say about 8 months of coding in a matter of 5 days.
Yeah, I keep hearing these stories, and I think it's amazing, and I think that's going to usher us into an age of creation and tool creation, and that's far more exciting than it is scary.
Yeah.
And I think as we keep pushing, I think because we pay very, very close attention to Gemini with our partnership with Google and work through, what is possible, what's not, what even beyond that, I feel like every Sunday I see a tweet that's like, here's everything that happened this week in AI. And they're always from someone else. There's no one I follow that does it. But they're all like 20 things long, and any one thing on that list is impressive. Like I went down the rabbit hole on one where it was talking about how it can train for the AI robots that are coming to clean our houses and wash our windows and things like that. That they can do 100 years of training in an hour, because they're simulating all the situations across all the GPUs.
Wow.
That stuff's way out of my depth, but I mean, it's incredibly exciting.
It is. It is. It is. Um, you have some of what I would call dream clients on your list. Give us an example of maybe one of them. How did you find them, and what was their challenge, and how did you help them?
Well, I think every story is a bit nuanced. And yes, we do. We have really, really amazing dream clients, people I've always dreamed of working with as well. Every single good relationship I could think of, I would say found us as opposed to us finding them. And
Interesting.
it's come from relationships we built with people at different stages in their career. So our HP relationship, incredible partners at every level. Shout out Gene Peck. He's the one who brought us in. We worked together 8 to 10 years before HP on a much smaller project for a golf company. and we stayed in touch. We liked each other. We liked the way we worked. He got promoted to this global level and said, "Hey, I'm working with this agency. There's a lot of room for an agency like yours. I'd love to bring you in and work together." And I said, "Of course." Right. But it came from serving him in the past. Same with our relationship with one of the largest banks in the world. Same with the relationship with T-Mobile. Same with and then our Google relationship came from not myself, which is actually even more rewarding. One of my team members, mentors from her past job, sent the person she's mentoring now to us, and she works at Google, and then we've built that relationship with them. And it's just consistent delivery for everyone at every scale comes back. Also, in my situation, I was rather young when I started or not started the business. And that created the opportunity where my network had to catch up, and got into these amazing positions, where then I could help them. But because we were working hand in hand, it gave us an opportunity to just work together. And I think that's the spirit of partnership. That's the spirit of relationship. And that ultimately drives success. Because if you keep making your clients, or we call them partners, we don't even call them clients here. If you keep making your team successful, and trust me, not every project was successful. You just keep pushing through, you keep making more things, you keep figuring out where you can find success. They will come back to you.
Interesting. Like, other than relationships, are there any other strategies that you guys are using to get these enterprise clients?
This is a very hot topic. This is something I've wrestled with a lot. I think if you are going to be a trusted advisor, which is largely the role we play, that outside of direct contact, it's hard. It's very, very hard. I've done outreach where early on in our career, there's a website, the FWA. It posts all the best websites. We didn't have work as an agency. So I emailed, right? And this is early days. This is when outreach probably actually worked even better than it did now. I found every single agency in America that had ever won one and found them on LinkedIn, guessed their email address, first name dot last name is generally it, and emailed every single creative director, account director, technical director, and said, "Hey, I do this. I'm in this community. I'd love to talk. I'd love to meet." The other thing I did that was pretty
Sorry,
successful.
sorry for the interruption. You got responses back and clients, or
Yeah.
work out of it?
Um, I would assume so, because we're still in business and we didn't have any other business at that time. But, we're talking 300 to 500 genuine
Emails?
personal emails,
Wow.
and just worked through day in, day out. I think the other thing I did, because I don't think that works that well, and especially not today, and especially into an enterprise organization, because these people are being hit up all the time, and you'd have to have something to really stand out aside from we're a great digital agency. And in an email, it's very hard to differentiate us from the 9,000 other agencies out there. And it doesn't matter if you've worked with Porsche or Nike or anyone like that, because everyone kind of has a name somewhere in their portfolio that they can have. I think as well, content creation, like you're doing here, has been successful. There was a time I was a contributing editor to Design Publication, and that gave me access to reach out to a lot of people and say, "Hey, I want to get to know you. I want to do an interview. If you're open to it, let's talk." And I was able to make some great connections. And then I think the third thing that's been really helpful is we're a member of SOTA, which is Society of Digital Agencies. It's a peer reviewed short list of essentially the 100 best agencies in the world. And working with them, talking with them, meeting everyone else in the community, understanding what they're doing, understanding what worked and hasn't worked, has helped us as much with client delivery as it has meeting people. We've worked with tons of people in the organization in a lot of different roles. And again, I think what we're actually delivering and how we're delivering it, we've learned so much from them that that's helped make the actual product offering better. I think not all service businesses are as high touch as we are, which ultimately kind of feeds on itself, where the projects get bigger, the projects get more expensive, and then your potential total addressable market is smaller, because how many people are buying six-figure websites? How many people are buying seven-figure digital products? These are hard things, and you have to build a lot of trust in there. And we talk a lot about how we build that trust.
Nice. Very nice. So, the topic of our conversation is how not to start a business.
Yeah.
What are some of the tips that you have for people that are watching or listening that want to start a business and things that they should avoid?
Yeah.
What?
So if you want to start a business, I'd say being intentional is very important. Far more important than I gave it credit for. But I would also say making a plan and making everything associated to that plan to a point where it can't be deviated from without failure is another key aspect. I think I say with a lot of humility, we have literally made every mistake in the book. We've agreed to timelines we shouldn't. We haven't been able to deliver. We've agreed to things that were a stretch. Just for clarity, a lot of those things were a long time ago. We've matured a lot as an organization, and I think our journey was incredibly long and not in a bad way, not arduous, but it's about incremental growth. And I wish there was a lot of shortcuts in relationships, shortcuts in understanding what's important. I remember saying, oh, no way should any of our budgets ever be more than 5% project management. Project management is the backbone of how we deliver projects now. So I think as well, for a long time, I really focused on the quality of the product and only the quality of the product we're delivering, and going, we can overinvest, we can deliver, we can keep pushing, we can do all those things, and you can put yourself out of business doing those things. And I think I also listened to a lot of advice from a lot of people that was good advice at the wrong time, because context and nuance is also far more important than I realized. So as we were pushing forward on listening to advice, so Good to Great, Jim Collins' book, it's the kind of fundamental business. There's a whole bunch of advice in there. Probably the most important piece is get the right people on the bus and let them drive. That's great if you have great people that are capable of driving. And I think the hardest piece of growing a company is growing management. And when you grow management, figuring out how to let people succeed and how you can let people fail, but in a controlled environment. So you're making small mistakes, not catastrophic mistakes, because it's easy to say, oh, every failure is a learning opportunity. It's a hard thing to replace your biggest client because someone called them the C word. Like, true story. So that is the type of things you need to work and grow through, and just be ready, stay agile, stay hydrated, and stay passionate. Like, because I think as well, there's so much talk about mission, vision, values, and I would say I'm really passionate about supporting and making sure every engagement we make works out for both parties, and that our clients' conversion rates go up, or they get more leads, or whatever the right goal of that project is. But right, we're not Toms. Like for every pair of shoes we give, we don't get to put a pair of shoes on some kid in Africa. I love that. I love that for them. I've never been able to fit that into our mission. I've never been able to make, like, our mission is to create great experiences. And we look at that from the experiences we create. We look at that for our employee experience, and we look at the partner experience. So all of those things have to line up, and that's a mission, but it's not impactful. It's not impactful the same way Tom's is. Or Warby Parker has a similar program. People like that. People who start the company with the end goal. I'm just very passionate about making things, and I like people.
So I think there's like two ways to go about starting a company. I've seen people where they have a vision and they build into it and they kind of work through it. And I've seen quite a few examples where somebody just started, say, a shoe company,
Mm-hmm.
and they just, worked, they showed up, they kind of worked hard. And over time, they became, and I'm just making this up on the go, they became
Yeah.
Adidas over time.
Yeah.
And if you ask them, did you ever think about getting this big? It's like, not in my wildest imagination. So that's actually always a question for me. Do you have to start with the end in mind? Do you just start and go hard, and you will just adjust and then go, where you think is a good place, and then take the market opportunities and just expand and evolve as you go? What's the best way to go? But what's your take on that?
I think it's all balance, right? Because I think you can make the plan to be the next big shoe company. And the idea that Under Armour even exists today, coming out of the Nike Adidas global domination, is astonishing to me. And what they've made and the success they've had in creating that market is wild. So they clearly did that, and they said, we have a goal and we want to be the next great shoe company. That is one way to do it. And I think many people who do that don't make it. And I think if you have an end goal in mind, you have to be extremely committed. You have to have a lot of capital, probably 2 to 3 times as much capital and 2 to 3 times as long as you think it's going to take to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would say is have kind of like a 1, 3, 5 year goal of what you want to achieve, and just go like, here's what I'm working towards, and here's where that is. Because as you break everything down into milestones, into smaller steps, you can be really successful. I think another thing that people do is they go, I want to land a $1 million client, or I want to land a 500 clients this year, whatever it is. And I think making the actions you need to take in order to make those possible is very different than the actions you need to take than measuring the outcomes. So if I need to reach out to 500 people, I need to reach out to 1,000 people, I need to reach out to 25 people a week, and making the measurements, the steps you need to take to get the outcomes you want, is more important than defining the outcome. Because then you can control that. You can't control your close rate. You can work on it, you can improve it, you can do things, but you can't actually control that. So your goal should be the things you control, your steps.
What are the things that you can control, and how do you determine what you can or cannot control?
Well, I think if we're talking about growth and we're talking about outreach, I can control how many people I talk to. I can control how many LinkedIn messages I send. I can control the cadence and tone. I can control how many proposals I give to people. I can control the quality of those. I can control that there's 3 options in every single one, so I can continue a conversation with people. I can't control if they sign it or not. I can constantly evaluate what the best offers are, but I can't control the actual close. So all our milestones are based on number of contacts, number of proposals, types of proposals, and then I can control who I'm reaching out to, because I can reach out to 1 million people on LinkedIn and I can reach out to a million CMOs who a million people reach out to, or I can reach out to producers who used to work at ad agencies that now work at Fortune 500 companies who understand my role. There's pros and cons to each of those, but it's better to be targeted and have a specific point of view. So you can only control your actions. Um, so that's
Interesting.
what I want to measure.
Interesting. I mean, that being said, I think there's a lot of things that you do have control over in like improving your skills. Like even say when it comes to closing, you could become a better closer and work on your skills.
Yeah.
Yes, they have the option to say yes or no, but you could also become a better salesperson.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can control how many pitches I do. I can control the
Yep.
quality that I put into each of them because more is not always better, right? You can control your close rate by defining how far you're going to go in for each client. My executive creative director always says, when you pitch to win, you do the work, you put in everything. And I mean, he is willing to put in everything on every single one. So I think you can control putting the skills. You just can't control your close rate. You can control your selection. But again, it's up to you. So being willing to put in the work, be really honest, really evaluate. One of the really important things as well is taking stock when you're taking the actions and you're not getting the outcome. There's It's important to give things enough time to mature and be successful, but it's also important to be really aware that like we're spending good money, we're spending a lot of effort creating X, Y, or Z, and it's not creating the outcome we need. So how do we adjust it, and what do we get to do that? And will this change? Will it not change over time?
Interesting. I guess the what I got out of this last piece is like focus on what you can control,
Yeah,
do
which
what
is
you
your
can
actions
do, and uh,
and
not
your expectations of others. Right? You can always get someone else involved in figuring out how to get something done. You can always outsource it. You can ask
oh
for it. You
god.
can get a coach.
I've always talked about this like on the show where sometimes I feel stuck on something, and
Mm-hmm.
I think us men we do this. But you tell me if you haven't done this. I'm stuck on something. I think about it for a week or two, a month or two, and I'm struggling in my head. Then I kind of smarten up and then call a couple of buddies and be like, "Hey, I have this thing going on. What do you think I should do?" He's like, "Reach out and press F5, for example," and then the problem is
Yeah.
solved. I'm like, "Why the hell did I not make that call 2 months
Yeah.
ago?"
Yeah.
Right? Do you ever do that?
Uh, I'm pretty vocal and I have an amazing team, and I don't have a good internal monologue. So I am willing to ask for help. That said, I would say I did entrepreneurs organization, and
Uh huh.
the amount of advice and being forced to talk about problems and talking about your wins and fails in a small group that's set up to support you, that's set up to create opportunities for you to ask questions is really helpful. And I think the other piece that I learned there that was really helpful was in how to truncate and how to break problems down into smaller problems, because you might go, this whole thing's not working, but there's one of your 10 pieces that's broken, and when you fix that, um,
Everything
everything
else
else
starts
starts
working.
working. Yeah.
Yeah. The 80/20 on problems.
Yeah. And sometimes it's like 99 to 1, right? It's just one thing
Yes.
that needed to be better in figuring out, your engagement or data. And yeah, but like you, I will spin on problems for weeks and weeks to understand the right thing. And I'll probably call too many people. I'll probably just go like, why
Yeah.
is this not working? And being selective, right? Like, because the right person's going to know you just hit F5. The wrong person's going to go, I don't know. I feel sorry for you. And that's not helpful. So I think the accountability piece is a really big deal. And surrounding
Huge.
yourself with
Huge.
other people who are having the same problems or have had the same problems is like there's an expression, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room, because it means you're not pushing
Hmm.
yourself. It also sounds incredibly uninspiring. Unless you are there to help other people, I don't understand why you would want to be there.
Okay, so where should we go? In a place where I'm not the smartest or the
Not the
smartest?
smartest. You never want to be the smartest. You want to be in
Okay.
a place where you can constantly learn. Um, because yeah, if you're the biggest one, the only time to go into those other rooms where you are the smartest person is so you can help pull people out. You can make a seat at the table.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
see what you're saying. Because I can't go like be the dumbest person in the room, show up to help
No. Yeah.
others, and they'd be like, "What kind of crack are
Yeah.
you on?"
No. Yeah. You gotta be this. When you're the smartest person in the room, you should switch your mindset and say, how do I help these people? How do I create a seat at the table?
Exactly.
How
Okay.
do I get them where they need to go? Which is an important part too, because we learn a lot when we teach. A few years ago, we started a development company outside of Metajive called Pixel Perfect. And it was really, really humbling to have to solve the same problems I solved 10 years ago over, and remembering like, I know the right way to do this, but we can't afford that because we have 10% of the revenue of Metajive. And I think getting into that mindset of understanding it, just like the Jim Collins thing, right? It's the right advice at the right time for where you are, because the right way for Metajive to do accounting is not the right way for Pixel Perfect to do accounting. Uh,
Hmm.
we were smart enough not to just do it all ourselves again in QuickBooks, like we started. Um, my wife, who's our COO, actually got involved in the business because I just forgot to invoice people. So you can talk. That's how not to run a business. Just don't be so ingrained in the work that you forget to get paid for it.
Oh yeah.
Don't forget to collect. Like all the ops and admin, um, not my thing. So really, there is some truth into the work around your strengths. You don't have to work on them. You can work around them. You can delegate them. You can get someone else to do it.
So work on your strength and let someone else deal with other stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you need to be aware, and I think what your strengths are always changing. The way I've always approached this business, I've had to go from practitioner in development to practitioner in design to manager to now 100% CEO, um, and I'm only tangentially involved in the work, and I love the work. So I think it's an important part to assess what your strengths and weaknesses are, and
Hmm.
understand which weaknesses are worth your effort to improve. And regardless, you have to accept that they have to get fixed, but you can't. But sometimes you fixing them and right becoming the best black belt karate fighter on the block isn't the best use of your time if you could hire a bodyguard.
That makes sense. Um, very interesting. What makes your? I'm guessing you have some competition out there in what
There's a
you
lot
do.
of it. Yeah.
What makes you guys different compared to the rest of the pack?
Well, difference easy. Better is hard. And I think web design, digital product is in some ways commoditized if you let it be. I think we're right for the right type of client who really cares about getting to an execution in kind of the straightest possible line, without a million hours of exploration. There's a whole tier of shops that are above us that are just absolutely incredible. But they're going to cost 2, 3, 5, 10 times as much for the same project. There's a whole slew of agencies below us that are great at one part of the execution. I think being balanced across the technology, the strategy, the design, and wrapping it all in a layer of partnership and actually being able to deliver all of those things is what sets us apart. I think there's very few agencies that are equally strong while being efficient.
Very cool. Give us some of the milestones you guys have achieved along the way.
Okay, let's see. I'm incredibly proud of the Webbies that the team has won. We've won 3 or 4 Webbies and 2 or 3 honorees and People Choices Awards in the Webbies. Those just got announced today. So those are great. Congratulations to all those people. San Diego Magazine, Inc. 5000, and the FT's fastest growing companies, all at different ranks, but we've been on those lists multiple times. I'm incredibly proud of the milestones of the leadership and management we've had. I'm incredibly proud of long relationships. So we've worked with School of Rock for almost 7 years now. They were about 100 schools and they just passed their 600th school. They are just an incredible partner. And then doing work that's really well recognized has been ultimately rewarding. And then growth of team. I think there's a few people who've been with us 2, 3, 4, 5 years that I've watched grow. That is just incredibly rewarding. There's one person in particular. We hired her straight out of college. She's been with us 5 years. Now she's a senior, and we just keep working. And she knows this place as well as anyone else. And it's just really, really rewarding to see these people you work with start achieving at a high level. And then it's just a virtuous circle, because when they start achieving, it just makes the whole agency work better.
How big is your team?
We're just under 40 people right now.
40 people.
Yeah. So that's a milestone as well. Like, it feels like 5 people was a really big deal. 10 people was a big deal. 20 people we went from 12 to 21 really fast, which was just an absolute whirlwind. And we had to change everything in the agency to accommodate that. And then slowly just continued to push. So those were the big numbers that felt like they mattered.
Did your team size grow based on your client list and the projects, or did you grow your team first and then got clients, or how did that happen?
I mean, unless you have an amazing money tree growing in your backyard, you have to grow based in proportion to clients. We've never taken any funding. We've bootstrapped this thing from the ground up. I actually tried to sell 10% of the company for a pretty small amount of money once, just to make those people care about the business and be invested in our success. And I had a call with them the other day, and I said, "Is this the call where you tell me what my investment would be worth now?" I said, "No. I was just calling to catch up and get some advice, because they're incredibly, just incredible business people." So you can't scale ahead. There's strategic investments you have to make, but they need to be really precise. And you can always give up margin in order to deliver better, keep the systems growing. But again, it's a really fine balance, because in a business that goes in waves, I always want to be there to protect the team. And I always want to make sure that anyone that comes on, I can protect and deliver. for it.
Fantastic. What would you say were some of the challenges that you faced while reaching those milestones?
Um, well, in COVID, we lost 75% of our previous year's revenue in 3 weeks. So that was kind of a big deal. Um, I definitely remember some specific conversations I had there. I think we've had 2 or 3 single large client setbacks um, that that have been hard. So having one client that's a significant portion of your revenue is never a good idea. I think other setbacks, some of them have been more self-inflicted, right? Lack of willingness to delegate, lack of willingness to trust people, have things be done my way or no way, um, are all things I've had to grow through and still growing through. Um, I often talk about the balance of how to successfully hand off responsibility while still knowing it's going to be successful, and working through things like that in stages. Um, and I think it just takes a tremendous amount of awareness to go, that's not how I would do it, but do it that way. That works. That works
How,
just as good, if not better.
how do you go about delegating to make sure it gets done?
Um, I work pretty closely, and honestly, that's something I'm still working on. But I talk about confidence, not trust, um, as a concept, and I have confidence someone's going to be able to do something, as opposed to I trust them to do it or give them their best effort. Those are two different things, and I try to be really transparent with people when they're asking for responsibility. They're not have they don't have what they want, or when I'm asking someone to do something they haven't done before. And a lot of times I believe people can do things, and I'm trying to get them to step up, um, and accept that.
Interesting.
But yeah,
What would you say
that's a hard one. Like, that is probably the hardest piece of my professional career,
to step back?
to step back and trust that things are going to be done to the
The way it should be done?
to the standards that are accepted, whether it's my way or not, right? And I think hopefully focusing on the standard and not the steps and not the process is what's important.
So the focus would be on the outcome and the goal, like
The
achieving the
focus is
product.
on the outcome and the goal, and if that happens, um,
Like,
that matters. Yeah, I think clarity of communication and being really honest about, like, sure, I'm not sure about this, but let's do it your way, and then have
yeah,
things, and then also go, what's the worst that can happen? That's a great technique to build your own comfort and for other people to understand the stakes of what you're handing off.
yeah. I think it's like, hey, get it done. I don't care how you do it, as long as you get the job done. You
Hmm.
could do it in 3 weeks or 3 hours or three
Yeah.
seconds. Use AI, whatever you need to do. Just get
Yeah.
it done.
When people are like, "Oh, should people use AI?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, if it's going to help, if it's going to get it done, like, the things we've been
Yeah,
able to do with its help are great. The stories, but I also say I find the stories of, I fed it this document and that document, and I asked it a specific question and did 8 hours of work in 10 minutes, and then I spent an hour fixing it, are the things people talk about. And I think the things people don't talk about are, I asked it to make a list of Fortune 500 companies, their CMOs, their locations, and it said it couldn't do it. So then I had to ask it 100 more times to add 10 more, add 10 more, add 10 more in order to get that list. And then it didn't export right. I think those stories exist too, as we're working in this AI is an infinitesimal stage. And I think there's so many things I want to build on it, but we're not quite there. But we're going from a grain of grass to a fly to a snowball to a baseball to a softball. And we know we're going to be seeing it as the size of a bus here soon because of that speed of advancement. But we all just have to work through it together and understand, how are we going to make this great for us? How are we going to make this great for everyone around us? What should we be using this great power for?
Fantastic. Yeah, and it feels to me like as AI is still in its early baby step stages. Like it's not even. It just got started
Yeah.
to me, and we're
Yeah.
still getting used to it.
We're still definitely getting used to it. Right. And it's one of those things that just, it's going to be a hockey stick curve, and it's going to affect everything in society. But that's great, because there's a lot of things that could be better.
Hundred
And if
percent.
we can solve some scarcity, get some things rolling in the right direction, coach some people. I don't know. There's a million great AI movies. I think uh, Jinx is my favorite, about the rogue phone that just kind of talks trash. But there's a million of them, and we don't know what it's going to be. But I always say, like, it is what we make it. And I
For
think
sure.
we just have to approach one day at a time, and, like Oprah says, make the next best decision.
Absolutely. Dave, what would you say is holding you or your company back right now?
Um, I wish we had more awareness. I wish more people knew what we were doing. I wish there's always roles, there's always people you want to put in the business. Um, and I think, like all entrepreneurs who are focused on the next big thing, access. Um, so I go, how do I get in the room with the right people in a way that sets us up for success? That's really what I focus on, is getting the contacts, getting the connections, and then the fit should find itself if you're talking to the right people. You shouldn't, like, the best salespeople don't sell, they explain. And if you actually have something that has product market fit at whatever level that is, whatever that means to you, they're pulling you and saying, oh, you built this AI engine for LSN. I need something like that for my recruitment company. I need something like that because we deal with customer service issues, and we can help a lot of customers with it. So when you have things like that out in the market, and people go, oh, I've been thinking about something like that, it's really just letting people, making them aware of what you're doing and how you approach work, and find it. Because that's where the real connection is. If you have to push on the sale, it kind of never works out for either of you.
Yeah, love it. How you said like best salespeople don't sell; they explain. It's like I've also seen people, some good salespeople doing stories and share
Yeah,
your stories and case studies to sell, which is like,
that's just types of explaining, right? Like, they're
yeah,
sharing the
exactly.
successes. They're helping you understand. It's just one more tool to get people to really understand what you do and understand how that can impact their business. Um, because ultimately, you don't want to push someone to spend money they don't have. You don't want to push someone to spend money that they're not going to get back. I always look at every dollar you spend with us should come back to you in multiples. Um, like, we know why we're here. We're here for a reason. We're here to help other businesses.
Love it. Dave, who's had a major influence on your business journey?
Oh, there's a lot of people. So
Give me the top two.
top two have to be Tim Barber and Jonathan Tan. They were clients of ours who really helped mentor us, and then they grew and became M&A advisors and helped us through a sale process, found us a great home. We're part of a group called the Together Group, and they're amazing. But I'd say, yeah, Tim and JT have just been there for us every step of the way. I also think of Todd Bergeson, our executive creative director. We met in 2014. He joined the company in 2022. So there's 8 years in between there. We did work for him, and he continued to always show an interest in us, and just be there as a friend and be a listening agent. Michael Leibowitz, who runs Big Spaceship, which is arguably a competitive shop to us, they just were 10 years ahead. And I was explaining, finance, accounting, like basic business operations issues. And he said, I'm going to set you up with a monthly call with my CFO just to help and guide you. Those type
Oh,
of things are
priceless.
miracles in the difference they made for us. And then last, I'd say Jen Mayo, who was a project manager we had. She was on staff, but she really changed the way we estimate. And we were talking about, oh, do we raise prices? Do we do this? And she goes, you just need to get paid for every hour you work, and change the way we fundamentally look at estimating. That changed the company and made it so we can afford to get the help we needed.
Interesting.
So yeah, the list is endless. Like, I've been so fortunate to have so many great people help me on this journey.
Good for you. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Having good people, mentors, consultants, and good people around is honestly a major plus for any business owner.
Yeah, and I would say it never looks like you think it's going to. It's not like this person who, has done the business for 20 years and they're going to take you under their wing and they're going to introduce you and they're just going to transform everything. It's really people who are acting as friends and willing to be a sounding board and willing to listen through your problems, and hopefully problems they've already had. But there's none of those people that felt like mentors at the time. But I look back and I go, oh my God, they helped me so much. They were incredibly giving. And I underestimated it at the time.
Do you read books at all?
Yeah. Yeah. Right now I'm in a fiction stage and I'm just reading fiction books for kind of fun and unplugging. But I've probably read, I don't know, 40 plus. I used to read 20 plus like audiobooks, like business books a
A
year when I
year?
traveled a
I found some
lot.
web results. I can show them.
Oh, Sari wanted to contribute some books too. But no, but when I was traveling a lot, I'd probably listen to like
That was
20.
Siri kicking in.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So, but I used to read like 20 plus a year. So I've read all the big ones except Traction, and I don't know why I haven't read that one.
I haven't read that one either.
Apparently it's great. My managing director absolutely loves it. We talk about it all the time. And then I've read a lot of autobiographies, and
Hmm.
some are like, the Jeff Bezoses of the world or Barack Obama. But I love a good story. I love some debauchery. So it's like the Motley Crue autobiography was amazing. The Gucci Mane autobiography is probably something you wouldn't expect on my shelf, but I would say is one of the more entertaining books I've ever read in my life.
Gucci name is the name.
Gucci Mane, he's a rapper. He's been to jail 5-7 times, drank like gallons of codeine. He was in a gang that robbed drug dealers, like pretty hardened criminal, but really great book.
Give me two of your favorite books of all time.
Two of my favorite books of all time. Looking back at my bookshelf, this should be an easier question.
Or is there like a book that you have gifted the most?
Um, I've gifted Shoe Dog a few times,
That's a good
and
one.
that's a great one because it blends business. The Messy Middle, um, by Scott Bolesky, and then actually I think Leaders Eat Last would probably be the answer. I absolutely love Simon Sinek. I think that is incredible. I think his first book, Start With Why, is really, really hard to get through. But if it clicks and you get through it and you help find your why, that'll be one of the most impactful books you'll ever read.
Love it. What's one advice that made a big impact on your life or business?
Stay hydrated. Just really focus on taking a moment for yourself and take care of yourself. If you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of others. You can't make the right decisions. And be grateful. I think any entrepreneur who has the space in their life to actually pursue it needs to be appreciative that they're in a position where they can do this, even if the pressure's on, even if they have bills to pay, family, things like other responsibilities. The fact that you can pursue something like this is just incredible, and being in a place to just appreciate the journey you're on, and being less critical of everything, because I think it's really easy to go down that road.
Beauty. Dave, this was a great conversation. You shared a lot of good stories and valuable knowledge and information. Thank you for that. Is there a question that I should have asked that would have added value to people that are watching or listening?
Reese's peanut butter cups are my favorite candy. I think that's all I have to add. But I'm really appreciative you had me on. I hope I helped people. I hope everyone had anything. If they want to get a hold of me, I'm happy to help them. I'm happy to answer any questions if I can be a resource to anyone else.
Appreciate it. Where can people reach out, find out more about you and your services?
Hello at metajive.com. Metajive.com. I'm Life as Dave on basically all social media.
Life as Dave.
Life as Dave.
That's your handle?
That's my handle pretty much anywhere. And then find me on LinkedIn, which is like LinkedIn/Metajive. I think goes straight to me. And yeah, I'll get back to you. Like I'm pretty easy to find.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, gang. Thank you for watching or listening. If you have any questions for me or Dave, put them in the comments and we'll do our best to get back to you. Feel free to share the links to this conversation. This was a great conversation, by the way. Share this conversation with people that you think could benefit from the experience and the stories that Dave shared, and we'll go from there. You've been listening to and watching another episode of the Executive Hub. My name is Mustafa Hosseini with my guest, Dave Benton. Hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you in our next episode.
Thanks,
Bye
everybody.
now.